Basically, I was asked to do this because people kept watching my controller guide and my duelist guide, and you know what? People were. I'm gonna be honest. A lot of people liked it. A lot of people were a little upset. A lot of people were not fans of it, and they felt like I was being like unfair to their role. They're like, "Well, King, you're being so hypocritical." Or like, well, duelists aren't the issue. The issue isn't me trying to engage. The issue is my teammates not smoking for me. And I was like, you know what? That's fine. People asked me to do another Sentinels guide. For the record, when I make these things, I know that there are other issues besides like, oh, like you do this. It's a team game. You know, we all got to work together as a team. That's why we're making the third one of the series. So like we've already taught the duelists and the controllers how to play. Now we're going to teach the Sentinels how to play. Soon enough, everybody will be good at the game. We'll have everybody good. It'll be so cool, dude. It'll be great. So we're going to break this down. I'm going to start with the character that I have played the most as far as Sentinels goes. No, you know what? I'm going to change that. I'm going to start with the character that everyone, she's been in the game for forever. So is Cypher. But I'm going to start with Sage because she's the girl of everybody's dreams, the one that everybody wants on the team. And you know what? A lot of people aren't very good at Sage. So I think that we break her down just a little bit first. I think that's probably a good idea, okay? If you guys are unfamiliar with my channel, be sure to subscribe to the YouTubes, do all the things. I talk on stream a lot. You can check out all these cool people in chat right now. Yeah, okay, plug. Cool. Yeah, hang out with us. Yeah. So we're gonna start out with Sage. A lot of people kind of just they're like, Sage is a healer, and that's like what she does, right? She does a lot more than healing. And beyond that, her healing, I would even argue, is one of the least effective things about her. But she's cool to have on a team. People like to have Sage on the team because she like heals people. You know, she has a res, which is nice because it can benefit me as a player. But like another thing that Sage does, and this is the reason that people actually do genuinely pick her, is that she can actually stop a push very effectively. So right, you can place down this wall. This is really cool because like a lot of people play her in the middle of split, and like if a team's pushing here, you can just throw down this wall. Just throw it down. You know, you don't need to challenge these guys. If you get the info that they're pushing it, you throw down this wall. We've done a video on Sage before previously where we talked about how this wall is like incredibly effective for just information alone. While this is alive, while this hasn't been broken, you know that nobody's pushed through mid. That's pretty cool. Or if they have pushed through mid, they use an ability like a jet dash, like an updraft, or like an omen TP. You'll hear it, right? So once this wall's down, you can actually focus your attention elsewhere. If they want to make noise and shoot it down, you'll know, and you can kind of double back. But for the most part, you can utilize this wall. Just throw that baby down. Don't do this. Don't do this. That's a bad idea. I just full peek there. They're going to shoot me while I'm doing that. Instead, what you can do... This is going to take me a second. Hold on. Instead, what you can do is you can like rotate this baby and use it from over here, right? Isn't this cool? And you can do that. You can actually jump on top of the wall too. You can use it to boost yourself up. I wouldn't really recommend this a whole lot, but like sometimes it might be good. Here's a clever little boost. Let's go over here. I'm gonna show you a clever little boost that you can do with Sage over here. If you guys have seen anybody do this one, this is something that you can do. You can like boost yourself up like right here. This is gonna do a couple things. It'll well, if I did it better, it would block off over here. But you can also peek up over this corner, right? And you can watch this little off angle. Nobody's ever going to expect a Sage to be right here. This is pretty cool. Now, the worst thing about this, though, is that this is an ability that costs 400, and you only get one of them throughout the round. So this is like I wouldn't resort to this boost every single round. Like, maybe you catch them off guard once with this, but for the most part, I would just use this wall to block off entrances, right? Now, what do you do if they try to push through this wall? We're going to go back to the middle, dude. We're going to go back to the middle. We're going to hang on here. If they try to push through this wall, after you place that wall down, they're trying to shoot it down. Like, say they shoot down one of these links. Uh-oh, dude. They can push through here. Now there's no more wall for you to deal with. Okay, what do? You can slow orb that. That slow orb is going to last for, like, how long does this thing last? Like, 5 seconds? It's like 5, 6, 7 maybe, something like that. This slow orb lasts a while, though. And basically, once it starts to fade, they can start pushing it again. You can double that baby up. The cool thing about this slow orb is this is basically another wall, dude. They're not pushing through this slow orb. This isn't happening. And the cool thing about all of this utility is you don't need to be in front of them to use it. I don't need to peek aggressively as Sage. It's just not a thing I need to do. If there's a guy up here in middle and I come up here to challenge this guy and I get killed, you recognize how easy it is for them to push in. Picking a Sage is one of the most massive things that you can do for your team. So if you are a Sage player, and this is the thing I want to emphasize most with this character, don't peek things. Just don't do it. You don't need to. You can just play here. If you hear them pushing, you can drop the wall, dude. You just throw down that wall. Don't gotta worry about it. They're pushing it. You can slow them down. But the moment I go to peek this angle and I die, dude, they can just rush straight in here. They can go straight in on the site into the middle of the map. Don't want that. If you're playing Sage and you're dying early in the game a lot, you're gonna be a little bit of a detriment to your teams. Another thing you'll see Sages do that is probably a no-no is they're gonna be playing over here, dude. they'll be picking up the operator because they like to op. You know, there's nothing wrong necessarily with Sage opping. She can do it maybe like 1 or 2 rounds. But if you're opping from this far away, right? Say I'm holding this angle over here. We're playing A long right here, and I'm going to op down this angle. You know how difficult it's going to be for me to wall that if they start pushing? Oh, I'm going to op it. I missed my shot. Where do I use it? I can't use one of my abilities, one of my most important abilities now. And that's going to be a problem, dude. You don't want to deal with that. You really don't want to deal with that. So instead, what you could do, you can not use an operator. Let somebody who's better with an operator, like a Sage or like a Sova, maybe use it. Or you could play a little bit closer. Maybe you wanted to play like a close angle like this with the op. This will be a little bit better. Another spot that you could play over here is in middle. If you wanted to play middle with an operator, go for it. It's going to generally be a little bit more difficult, like I said, because you're not going to be able to wall right away. But you could op. Like, this is something that you can do. It's not terrible. I just wouldn't recommend it. Characters or players like Skadoodle, I know who have opt on stage before, and it works out all right for them. But for the most part, it's not something that I would recommend. I would generally let your Wardell op with the Jet or something like that. As far as Sage goes, that's basically all I got for like a basic Sage guide. If you're looking for reses, I would try to like use this pretty much every single opportunity it's up. Basically, the point of these abilities is to win you rounds, right? Getting an extra player and pretty much any round is nice, and then you can get more reses throughout the game. A lot of people kind of just sit on it and they don't end up using it. But aside from that, I don't really have any like crazy Sage tips or like I'm not gonna. This isn't gonna be an in-depth Sage guide. If you're looking for that, you go and watch a Sage guide, right? This is your basics, fundamentals of how to play Sage. You send this to your friends who maybe don't really understand Sentinels, right? Basically, the point of a Sentinel though, and we're just using Sage as like the highlight. Your job is to stop this push. Your job is to make sure nobody's coming through this entrance while you are here, at least not without using utility, or at least not while waiting a while, right? That's what Sage is going to do her best. We're going to switch to a different character, though, because I think all the Sentinels do things just a little bit differently. Now we're going to talk about our boy Cypher, okay? Because I think that Cypher is a little bit different. So with this boy, what you're going to get is you're going to get 2 tripwires, you get 2 cages, and then you get your camera that you can place down like anywhere, right? Something to note about this camera is that it's actually used in relation to the height that you are at. So say if I was up here, right? Hypothetically, I don't think you can actually get up here a Cypher unless you use like a Sage wall or something. But when I jump, notice I can place the camera just a little bit higher. So I can place it like all the way up here. This is an okay camera location. There's another really cool one that I saw. Let me see if I can find this. This was used in one of the tournament games. I think he must have done it from up here. This camera was kind of nuts. It was super high up, dude. Like right here. Look at this cam, dude. This is so high up. This is so incredible. Nobody's gonna spot this baby. This is another one you can do. You can use it from like over here. You can get pretty high right here. This one's pretty high up too. There's kind of a thing in the way. That's probably not perfect. Maybe I can place it on the other side. You can get creative with these cams. Just recognize that it is based on the height that you are at currently. So if you wanted to place it higher up, try to get to a higher elevation if you can figure it out. Another thing to keep in mind with Cypher is a lot of his value I know is in like one-ways. So you can place like his traps on little edges. I don't know any one-ways on this map. But let's pretend like I did. Like you're gonna place like a trap like right here or something. And now when I activate this, you'll notice how I can kind of see like feet when people come in. I'm not gonna teach you incredibly clever one-ways because honestly I haven't done the research to figure it out. But I would recommend if you're gonna play a lot of Cypher, maybe look up some one-way videos because it does seem like that's a lot of value in it. It's very rare that you'll see a player like let's say Dapper for example. It's very rare that you will see that player and he won't be using one-ways throughout his rounds on defense. It's very rare. But that being said, you can play Cypher without using them. You can kind of just utilize this trap like this and just like activate it to kind of stop these pushes. It still is pretty effective with it. And his tripwires, you can place like right here. And when people walk through them, it'll reveal them, as we all know. I'm not really here to teach you about that. But for the most part, he's an interesting character. And that's because he provides a lot of information to the team in the way that he functions. He doesn't like wall off areas, but he will tell you if people are pushing areas. So for example, if I place a tripwire right here, that one's too high actually. If I place a tripwire like right here, players will not be able to jump over this tripwire and they will not be able to crouch under it. So that means that for them to get through this, they will either have to use a teleport from Omen or something like that, or they will have to shoot it. And if they shoot it, that means that I will get alerted that there is a player who is pushing through it, which is incredibly good information. That means that I know that somebody was in B tunnels and they tried to push through here. Now, if you're placing them like in common locations like this, a lot of times they can get killed off by like raise grenades or like shock darts or just people shooting them. So you'll see sometimes people will place them a little bit lower. This is a pretty common like Cypher trip right here, where that one will go across and like people will walk across it. Or I think there's a better one. It's like on this trash can somewhere here. You can place trips like that. And like these ones are interesting, right? But when you place a trip like this means that players can like jump over it if they're keen to the fact that you've been using this every single round. So a lot of the times when you play Cypher, you're going to want to mix it up. You can place cool little trips, like you can do something like this, for example. This one's an interesting one because this one will catch people off guard as they're like pushing onto site, right? Like say I try to strafe over here, I hit the tripwire, you peek me from like right here, or there's like smokes down, you can see me through it. That's a pretty good spot. You could also do something like this maybe to see if they're trying to push you through CT. If they try to push you through CT, that's going to catch them off guard. Maybe you wanted to place one over here just to make sure that they're like not coming through here. You can mix this up. Maybe you even want to go all the way over to A site and you want to place a tripwire, or maybe like in center of the map just for purpose of time. You can place one right here. That'll catch them off guard. When you're mixing them up like this, don't be too predictable. Don't be too predictable with this character, because otherwise people get used to it. Your tripwire doesn't necessarily need to hit people for it to have value, right? Then that's going to come into like factor when we're placing them at like medium body height. Or say if you're playing on offense, you can place them behind you so you don't get flanked. Say I place like a trip like right here. This way I'll know if anybody tries to flank us. If anybody tries to flank us, we'll get a lot of info from that. You can also use your cam for like the same info. But for the most part, these tripwires are some of the best things in the game. Honestly, they really are. They give you so much info. They are so effective. They are a very good thing to be using as Cypher. Now we're going to talk about his camera a little bit, right? His camera is something that is going to be incredibly effective for spotting out enemies. I don't recommend that you just sit on this camera all of the freaking time, right? Like if you are able to get your camera up here and you're able to spot something, like that's awesome, right? But once this camera gets killed, you get a little bit more uncomfortable. I suggest just checking your camera like every now and then. And the cool thing about this is if I have this site like tripwired up and I have like traps on it and stuff, I can come over here and I can come and help mid. And then I can just check my camera every now and then. I'll go over to it. Oh, nobody's there? Cool. I can keep holding mid. Oh, let's check it again. Okay, nobody's here? Cool. I mean, just keep holding mid with this guy. You can have 3 people up here in middle and you can just be watching this. Okay, they're not pushing this. Cool, I can keep focusing this. And it's actually really effective. Don't sit on it. You're not just here to sit on this camera and not do anything for the entire round. But you can just keep tapping in between it. You can keep going right back and forth. Cypher cam, the movie. Yeah, you don't need to be sitting on it, honestly, though. People equate it to, like, watch it. Oh, I don't want to say that because I don't want to get demonetized. But, yeah. As far as his ultimate goes, when you utilize it, it'll reveal everybody on the map, which is pretty cool. Basically, use this whenever it's up. If you get a kill, you can use it right away, and you'll get a ton of information for that. If you have the capabilities to it, if it's safe for you to use it, definitely just throw that baby out there. You can get as many of those out through a round. Those things can win you rounds alone, so those are pretty incredible. But probably as the cam gets out, taken out within 10 seconds of the round, starting in higher elos. Yeah, they do that for a reason. Generally, when you're playing against a Cypher, you want to go clear out his cam, so it makes him a little bit more uncomfortable. Because what I was just saying right here, when this camera is active, I can come and play middle. Once this camera goes down, I have to double back towards B, because now we need somebody to watch B. And like my camera's down, they killed it, so we need somebody to make sure that they're not coming in right here. And that's the struggle. So you kind of want to place it in a place where it's not going to get killed right away. This might be a common spot. Once people are keen to it, don't place it in the same spot every time because they'll just start doing that. Maybe you wanted to just place it here and just play for the retake, right? If I have a camera up there and they haven't cleared it out when we're coming in for the retake. Oh, look. Okay, well, there's a guy back sight. We see a guy like maybe on pillar right here. That's pretty cool. Oh, there's a guy in hell. You watch out for that guy in hell, right? Look at all this information that can get on a retake. There's a lot of really cool things that you can do right here. So keep those in mind with Cypher. You can play a lot of mind games with this guy. Utilize your cages so you can like cross different gaps. Something we were talking about in our most recent breakdown is how you can utilize this cage out offense just as a worse temporary smoke. In the sense that, like, if there's nobody playing ramp on this map and I'm able to just throw a trap right here, this trap's going to block their vision, so they won't actually know if we cross. This is way better than using like a brimstone smoke because he only gets 3 of them and they last for 15 seconds. Brimstone smokes are a lot stronger than Cypher cages, especially on offense. But on a Cypher cage, I can use it for things like this. Like, we can kind of just spare one at the beginning of the round, and that's okay. Doing things like this, or like caging off A long on Haven, can be a really effective strategy for a Cypher. You can use cams for offense too. Can I just like kill this? Is there a way I can kill the cam? I don't think there is. So this is the last thing I wanted to comment on. It's just on offense how you can utilize this camera. What I've seen a lot of people do. You can kind of use these cameras to peek angles to make it easier for your team. Sort of like a Sova drone in a way. Not quite as effective, but like this is a good cam spot right here. You can place this cam up here and you can actually see if anybody's playing close. So if anybody's playing this aisle right here, you'll spot them out right away. And you can use this at the beginning of the round. This is really cool for your team if you're going to be pushing A, because you'll be like, hey, there's somebody close, watch out. And they'll be like, oh crap, I'm glad you warned me. You know, things like that. It can be really helpful to your team. Don't just let your team run in there like baboons. Help the boys out. I can place a cam right here. I don't even need to get fancy with it. Okay, look, there's somebody ramp. They shot it. They shot my cam. Cool. We know that they're ramp. It's good info. It's good info. Lastly, we're going to go to the character I have played the most of, the Sentinel that I have played the most of. We're going to talk about Killjoy, dude, because she is brand new. A lot of people don't really know how to play her. She gets a similar thing accomplished to Cypher. I think that she's a very strong character. I think she's a lot of fun. I think that I think she struggles in some areas, and I've seen a lot of players kind of struggle with her in general. So I'm going to show you some cool tips and tricks with Killjoy. If you're looking forward to that, stay tuned. Basically, this character is going to have a turret that she can place down. This turret will spot anything in its vision radius. Basically, if somebody peeks, this turret will spot them out. You know, this is pretty cool. This gives you a lot of info. If somebody's going to push tunnels right here, my turret's going to spot them. Especially at lower ranks, people don't like to deal with this turret. They get really scared when they see this turret. If you see this turret, kill it like you would a Cypher cam, dude. Just shoot that thing down. Because once this is down, she's losing a lot of information. Similar to Cypher, what I've been doing a lot in Killjoy is I will trap up a site. Say I'll place my alarm bot right here, which will also activate when it sees somebody. And I'll place like a trap right here. And then I'll come over here and I'll play mid. This is a cool thing that you could do, right? Now this turret's going to spot anybody if they try to push B. And if they try to push B, my alarm bot will tell me when they're pushing through. And I can activate this trap. That'll be really detrimental for them. They're going to... sometimes this will get a literal kill. Like this will literally kill a player right there. That's pretty cool. I can play 2 positions at once because of this now. Another thing you can do as Killjoy, rather than placing your turret in a spot like that where they easily kill it, I can place it like right here. Now they need to commit just a little bit more if they want to kill this turret, right? And I can play a spot like this, where if they try to peek this, generally you'll see a sage wall come in, by the way, so this is actually a bad location for a turret. But generally, like hypothetically, if they tried to push this, this turret's going to spot them as they're about like right here, right? And that'll start shooting at them. And their first response is going to be, somebody's shooting at me. Let me look over here. But little do they know, I'm playing right here, dude. You can set up crossfires with yourself. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty nuts. This is what people like most don't like about this character. Cool thing about Killjoy versus other characters is I can recall all my stuff too. So if I realize they're not pushing B, they're full committing to A, I can recall my stuff. It'll take 20 seconds, but by the time I get over to B, or like A, I can chill for a second, and then I'll have my utility again. Once I get back over here, what can I do? What can you do, King? What can you do? Well, you know they're on site. Maybe you make your way into heaven, and you want to peek them, right? Rather than me just peeking them alone and swinging out here and getting that information myself, let me just do this. I'll place the turret right here. They'll shoot it. Either that, or the turret might spot somebody. If it doesn't spot somebody, that means they're not peeking, which is really cool because that means I can kind of swing out here and I can get a little bit more aggressive, right? They could be playing over here based off of where this turret is. But yeah, keep this in mind. Maybe clear it out like that. This is really cool. This is really effective way to utilize Killjoy. Something I really liked about her. Her ultimate is one of her stronger abilities too, and I can use this, and I can like come over to a position like this. Look at on the map where this will hit. This will hit everywhere in this territory, except for over here. So this is something you have to worry about. If you have a smoke, you can smoke this off, and it won't hit this back site, which is something that they'll try to play a lot. If you have players in heaven, this is gonna be really good for them because they'll be able to kill these guys. This ultimate's really nice for retakes if they plan on A. It's really nice for it. So Killjoy on offense is a little bit more different because, like, obviously you're not going to be holding down a site. You'll be kind of pushing. Something you can do for your team to help them out is you can make sure that nobody's ever going to flank you ever without you getting that information. You can place a turret right here, and then if your team's going to be pushing A, you will know if they push out of B tunnels. This is cool. This is good info to get, right? If they push out of B tunnels, that turret's going to spot them, and then you can follow this up with an alarm bot right here. Now, you won't be able to capitalize if this alarm bot explodes, but you'll get the info if they kind of come behind you. So while you're pushing it on site, oh, my alarm bot went off. That means that there's somebody literally right here. Let's go deal with that guy, you know? Turret, same thing. Turret's sitting over there. It's like a Cypher cam that I don't need to look at. It'll spot somebody if they're coming through. It'll turn red on your radar. You will know. This is really good for Killjoy. You should do this. I want to emphasize this for the boys in the back who don't do this. You should do this every round. Unless you're going to be using your turret to peek, you should have either your alarmobot or your turret watching behind you every single round. There is no excuse for you getting flanked while you have a Killjoy on your team. Absolutely zero excuse. Because even if this turret's not here, I have an alarm bot right here in tunnels that they will not be pushing through, right? Use one of the two to make sure that your back is watched. Now you're pushing in here. You want to use your turret to peek? Sweet. That's awesome. Use your turret to peek. I can swing this out, right? These are things that you can do, and they're things that you absolutely should do every single time. There's absolutely no excuse for you getting flanked while you have a Killjoy on your team. And especially beyond the fact that you can recall these, right? So once we get on site, even if my turret's on halfway across the map, I can just recall it, and then we'll set it for like post-plant. Killjoy is one of the best post-plant characters for this reason, because she can utilize her utility in this way. And then on post-plant, she can also place down these traps for people, right? So if I wanted to place a trap right here, and then I'm like, say I'm playing right here with the bomb. The bomb's down like right here or something like that. And I have my trap right there. I can actually activate this trap. They're not pushing me through elbow. That's not happening, right? And I can just watch this angle right here. This is great. This is perfect. These traps can be utilized from anywhere on the map as well. So if my trap's over there on B, I can activate this as well. Another thing that you've seen a lot of players do is they'll cheese bomb plants. So after you plant the bomb, this is the thing that everyone thinks. Like this is like one-dimensional thinking. I heard somebody referring to it as in like the Reddit. When you like plant the bomb, and like one-dimensional thinking says like, okay, let's place this nade like right here. Actually, well even worse. We'll say one-dimensional thinking is place it right on top of the bomb, right? And we'll place both. Bombs down. I place down my traps. And now I just run away, right? Once they go for the defuse, I activate one trap. This is cool. I'm chilling. This will get a kill. This is something I've utilized a lot, but it is a cheese tactic, and I want to recognize that for us. Okay, second one goes off. Now it's gonna stall the bomb plant for like at least 10 seconds, right? That's kind of crazy. Two-dimensional thinking would say, okay, I'm gonna plant the bomb right here, and then I'm gonna place my nade over here, and now they're not gonna be able to spot it. So maybe they come over here and they'll spray down the bomb. And like they won't hit those traps because they're on the other side. And then when I activate these, they're actually going to hit the entire other side. So say I'm going for the bomb defuse right here, this is still going to tag me. This is really good. This is what I recommend that you do if you want to cheese the bomb plant. Do it like that. I think that this can get too expected at some point. Like after you've played against it like once or twice, you can kind of get the hang of like dealing with it. So you can kind of get around that. But what you could utilize her traps for instead is the thing I was talking about earlier, saying like place them at elbow just to like actually stop the push and prevent these players from getting there. That's more of like a last resort sort of thing, right? Like you are stalling for time, you are 1v3, you're trying to get around this. But after a while, players are not going to fall for this as much, and it's going to be harder for you to kind of utilize tactics like that. It's kind of like the aggressive omen TPs, right? After a time, you kind of run out of the ability to use them. So what you can do instead, place a trap like right there, place your alarm bot, and you can kind of hold back here. Maybe you have your turret out here or something like that, like right there. And just making sure that nobody's pushing you from that side. And now you can kind of place like this right here. Maybe you wanted to do something like this, so if they try to push you from over there, you can stall that push. There's a lot of different things that you can do right here. Can you destroy the nanoswarms? You can if you shoot them, yes. And you can see them as well. I think they're stealth, though. So, like, you notice how it has, like, this faded effect? I don't think you can see the bot unless you're, like, close to it. So I wouldn't be able to see it from, like, right here. But, like, once I get it, like, around here, I can actually spot it. So if you're taking it slow, generally your utility can get cleared out. And you can get kind of dealt with. And this is the reason that I think Killjoy is kind of weak, right? I don't think that she's weak. I think that she just needs a slight buff. Because good players... The problem with Killjoy right now is that she slows down the meta. So, like, basically, if I'll place my utility, say I do something like this. We're gonna place like a trap, like or a turret, like right here. I'll do this one. This is something I've done. Rather than players rushing through here, what they'll do is they'll kind of like push it up slowly. They'll like spray this down. Maybe get the kill on like these guys. Maybe use the sage wall and they'll like back out, right? And they'll just kind of have to bait out this utility. But like once this stuff is down, you can literally kill everything that she has. Everything in her kit can be destroyed. And it's like once that's dead, she can't do anything. She's not a unique agent. She's like a bot, you know? And that's where she runs into problems. But one thing that you could do, as for, like we were talking about, like post plant, you could do this in like preemptively to deny plants. You can place one right there. I like this spot over here because people go for the default plant, and then you activate that one when they go for the plant. That one's pretty good. You can also place this one right here. If you think that if your team's having trouble holding heaven, you can place it right there. And if people come to plant right here, you can just activate it. And they won't expect this one as much. This is the default plant location when people come in from heaven generally. But after you kill them with that like once, it doesn't generally catch them again. As far as her ultimate goes on defense, if you're not using it for retakes, you can use it to deny site takes. So say you know that they're pushing in and you have your trap set up. I activate this trap to make sure that they don't push in, but then I know that I'm going to lose the site. I can come over here and I can drop this. If they're not already on site, they're not going to want to push this. And if they are already on site, but they don't have the bomb down, they might want to push you in here and try to get the kill on you, in which case you can honestly bait people sometimes, and you might be able to get a kill on them once or twice. It'll tell you how many players are detained to see if they stuck the site. If you do see any players detained, you'll generally want to go for some kills on them. You don't want to force it, though. Don't try to get yourself killed for, like, one player. Aside from that, though, I hope I didn't really miss anything. I covered the 3 Sentinels in the game. Basically, the thing that I really want to emphasize here, though, is that all of these characters, the purpose of them is to stop pushes. So if you're playing, like, incredibly aggressively with a lot of these characters and you're dying frequently, you're losing a lot of value on them. When Sage gets picked or when Cypher gets picked, it becomes a lot easier for the team to push in. When Killjoy gets picked, a lot of her utility is useless, right? The nades that she placed down, they have no value anymore. And it's just like, you kind of have to recognize this when you're going into the game. Don't peek stupid things and make like stupid aggressive plays and just end up dying, because it can be like really detrimental to your team. So that's kind of the thing I want to focus on. Have fun in your games. If you're playing Sentinels, I enjoy them. I like playing a lot of Killjoy. Sage is pretty fun too. Cypher's pretty fun. I think they're a lot of fun, honestly. I think they're good characters. So if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel down below. We do a lot of stuff like this. We also have a controller guide right now and a duelist guide available on the channel if you're looking for those. And other than that, check us out on Twitch. We have all these awesome people, and I freaking love you guys.